if you don't mind, would you be able to do a video testimonial for me? It's good when people can see you and can say, you know, like before Pianoed Willie I was like this, and now it's like this, and dot dot dot. If you wouldn't mind doing that, that'd be great. If you need some ideas on that, I can give them to. Can you? All right, this. I don't know who keeps calling me here. All right, stop calling me. This. Why can't I just want? Let me just change the camera. I want to make sure you can see the virtual keyboard in the recording. Okay. All right, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so what lesson are we working on?
Night and day.
You cut out there for a second. Night and day, you say? Okay. All right, so why don't you play for me what you got?
Okay. And now, I've only been working on places to work on.
Okay.
So my mind is thinking.
All right.
I just learned yesterday.
No, that's all right. It actually sounds quite nice.
Okay, so it's this. I can't think of the next chord. Oh, I know. There's really good news about this. And also, I don't know if I'm breaking up on your end, you're breaking up some on my end, so I don't know where that is. Okay, perfectly. There were no hesitations.
Yeah, I heard all this perfect stuff, and then it broke up, and it was perfect, and then... all right, so the really good news for you is that you really have it all there.
Yeah, I do.
You know, I mean, you have the notes, you understand the notes, so that's really the biggest part of it. once you get that, it's like, because like, you know, if you were playing wrong notes all over the place, now that gets into a whole nother thing. Now that's into, you know, do you know what the right notes should be? Do you know how to form them? Da, 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 da. So that's great. That's awesome news. You've got all this stuff. Okay, so there's a couple of things. Obviously, rhythm and flow. Okay? So you want to make it so you can go. Be able to just play it and play it flowingly, okay? Couple of ways we can go about this. First, are you listening to pianists play night and day?
Yes.
You are. Who are you listening to?
I listen mostly to Etta James because I love her arrangement, but I listen to like front.
Okay, what I would do is I would get onto YouTube and I would type in night and day, but please, don't listen to me, don't listen to anyone who is not a big name. You're looking for like the Errol Garners, the, you know, like those. Don't listen to Bubba, you know, because you don't want to hear, you know, you don't want to hear that kind of stuff. You want to hear it played professional, right? You can also get online and you can, you know, go to Amazon, type in night and day. I'm sure you get a whole list. Do you do iTunes?
Yeah.
The other nice thing about iTunes is you can type in the word night and day and get just single tracks.
Right.
You know, so that's another great thing. Like, in fact, I'd probably start there because since you can get them for like $1 or whatnot a piece, $5 you can get 3 or 4 different versions of night and day. Okay, so obviously I think you understand the reason behind this, but the obvious reason is that the more you're hearing different renditions of it and you know, professionals play it, the more you're going to get that flow. It's just like, you know, if you wanted to learn Italian, do you know Italian? Oh, poquito, right? All right, so if you want to learn Italian, what do? You listen to people speak Italian, and you know, I'm sure you've heard this before. If you like went and lived in Italy for 3 months, you're going to start to speak Italian just naturally because you're immersed in it. So you want to immerse yourself in this particular song. So that's step 1. All right, step 2, we've already talked about in the past about breaking down into sections and chunks, okay? So you have all the notes together. Now you need to start getting the flow. Let's just, you know, let me remind you one more time how to break down into a section. So when you have, you know, like, let's say you're going to take that much. Notice how I went to the beginning of that next measure, right? So I didn't go, you know, I got to the downbeat of that. That's really critical and important because if you don't get to that downbeat, let me draw it out for you. This will be an easier way. So you have, so this is measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you only did, for this example, let's do 2 measure chunks. So you do that, and then you do this, and then you do that, etc. What happens is, here you have like this no man's land, in which, yeah, you're really good at getting up to there, and you're really good from getting from there to there, but this, you're not good at that, at bridging that gap, okay? So what you need to do is this, my eraser's in the other room. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to make it so that you practice from here to like there. Not over to here, so you still make it a small section. And then you practice from here, notice the beginning, over to there. So you see this overlap?
Yep.
That's critical, right? If you start practicing, are you practicing that way now?
Yeah, classical, at the end of a measure, you always go to the first beat of the next measure.
Right.
For practicing sections. I did that playing classical.
Are you doing that with night and day?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I played a lot better. I was very nervous playing for you.
Oh, no, no, no.
I'm still internalizing. I mean, I now have got to the point where I'm not just playing. I used to play just by feel more than really knowing what the notes were, the chords were. And then if you don't keep playing, you forget. And now when I go back to something, I'm seeing those chords and I'm seeing those chord tones and I know exactly what I want to go to. It's just that I'm still internalizing it right now. So, you know, it has been smoother with making it.
I'll give you another example. Like last night, I take karate with Connor. And last night we were doing XMA stuff, like kicking. And you got to do this kick in which you basically come back and then you're spinning like it's a spinning hook kick, you know?
Right.
And, you know, I'm trying to practice it by like doing it in sections, you know, to get from here. But at some point, you have to like flow through the whole sequence, you know? So when you're practicing...
you got to follow through.
Yeah, exactly. It's that follow through. So if you're doing this and then to here, you're practicing like this, then maybe what you need to do is you maybe need to make bigger arcing sections. You might have to like say, okay, let me take the first 6 measures, and now notice I said 6, not 8 or 4. All right, I really made it more of an odd number, okay, so that it really starts to lock it in for you. Or the first 5 measures. And then what you're going to do is, now you just obviously practice that over and over. Do you have like a drum track or anything that you can play with?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you can put on like a swing, you know, just something simple, and then you just practice those 5 or 6 measures over and over and over and over again. Besides that, there's not really, like there's no other shortcut, you know? It's just really practicing getting that rhythmic flow down a lot. I know you've recorded yourself. Are you still recording yourself a lot with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So I would record yourself at least once a week, all right? I would record it once a week or more. You know, you could do it, you know, once a day or every other day if you want, but at least once a week so that you could start to see the progression, okay? So, sections. You went through it, you know, it was all garbled, but I think you went through it twice, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that might be too much right now. You know, maybe you might want to just focus on going through it one time and getting it down really, you know, really focused. You know, like really rhythmically good. Do you have the ability to play it for anyone else? Yeah, if you could do that, that's one of those other things where like when you play in front of other people, it just automatically starts really locking everything together. It's too easy at home to just stop, you know, and then go back and then stop and go back. Now, there is one trick that you can do, and this is kind of like a mind trick. You know, it may or may not work for you, but what you could do is just sit with your eyes closed and really try to imagine yourself playing in front of other people. Almost trying to make yourself a little nervous, as weird as that sounds. You know, so you try and immerse yourself in that, like, oh my goodness, like imagine, like, yeah, like you can start to feel those goosebumps kind of things, and then try playing it, all right? The idea is that you're trying to move yourself off of your game. You know, it's not like you're constantly sitting here, you constantly play on this piano, you constantly play it like this. You're trying to make it so that you are playing this thing differently every single time. Like you're just like, you know, playing it here, playing it there. This is another thing too. I would take your music, photocopy it, print it out, whatever. Staple it, I fold it, boom, put it in my back pocket, I take it with me everywhere. So then, now I can just look at it, I can kind of review it when I have a little bit of free time. But then, if you're at a piano, and you know, I used to seek out pianos. I used to go to the University of Rhode Island and I would play on the piano there. There's a library in Rhode Island, in Warwick, that I used to go and just practice. So even though I had a piano at home to practice on, I would go someplace else to practice. So that's another good thing to try, is because when you start working on a different instrument than your own, that's going to help improve as well. Right? So I don't know if you have that ability, like, you know, I'm sure there's probably a piano somewhere else that you can play on. Yeah. So all of those things together are going to help you really ramp up this song, okay? But you're at the 20% now. You know, that whole 80-20 rule, you've done the 80% of work. And unfortunately, you're at the hardest part now. You know, the 80% is kind of easy, you know, not really, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like, that's kind of the easy part. Now to get to that last 20%, it really takes a lot of work. And I know you're smart enough, you've been doing this long enough to know that you're going to be patient with yourself. It's going to take some time, but you will get there, all right? But that last 20%, if you take some of these ideas, I think that it's really going to help you get that, you know, steady. It's all about rhythm right now. So listening, practicing it in different kinds of chunks, right, and you know, spanning over different types of measures. Practicing, you know, different times of day, different tempos. Practice along with a drum track or a metronome or both. Record yourself. Play on a different piano, and then also imagine that you're playing in front of other people. Okay, and if you can, actually play in front of other people. That would be good as well. Okay.
On this, well, one other thing I was playing it, and when I was doing the repeat, I was like, okay, I want to do something different, and you know, I'm using the different options that you have, and then like, you know, I'm going to try something, because sometimes what you do is hard for me, so I said, I'm going to try something I know. And I did that little run coming down with the, like an arpeggio, I remember you talking about that. And then when I got into the next record, you said exactly that. I'm like, oh, I already did that. So I was happy about that.
Perfect. In fact, I'm sending out a video today about this very song and talking about the options. It's a 21-minute video, so you should get it. Let me know if you don't, but that would be very useful for you. Like I talk about that exact same thing where you basically have these 3 options, but then from each of those options you start to come up with different ideas as well. Because I play one thing, but then you're like, oh, well, what about this and what about this? And then it really starts to spread out into multiple options.
And like, these chords don't fit to me.
Hold on one second. I lost that whole beginning of the sentence. So I heard these chords don't fit.
Line 4 to line.
Let me see if I have this. Line 4. I'm not sure.
Line into the second ending.
You know, let me load it up here. I don't have line 5. I gotta figure out why this thing is so bad today. Like I can barely hear you at times. Okay, so just talk slower for me. So line 4 to line 5?
Correct.
Okay, and you said line 4 to line 5 doesn't sound good where? Which option?
Going in. And it seemed to me, first I was thinking I wanted to go to another C major 7, like in line 5, but then I was thinking how you told me, look at where you're going, and you're really going to that E flat major 7,
yep.
I think.
Yep.
So then the chords that precede it, at the end of line 4, don't seem like they would fit going to that. They sound more like they're going to turn around and go to the beginning instead of going in.
You know, You're absolutely right, in fact.
Yay!
Yep, good. Good, 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 good. So what did I miss here? Yeah, there's something there that is missing. Is a line missing? Oh, I see what. It's because basically not taking in the E minor to A minor, that whole deal. Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. So line 4. All right. The third measure. Right, would be the first measure of line 5.
Right.
Yeah. So line 4, measure 3, would be the first measure of line 5.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like because that was because basically what you're hitting here is you're hitting the repeat. So line 4, the last 2 measures is the repeat. Let me just,
right, to the beginning.
Right. Let me just pull up. I'm going to take a look at one more thing here. Good catch.
Thank you. I want to get to, so the preceding chords can be like the B flat F or the B.
Yeah, now here's the challenge that you're going to have. Okay, so line 4, the option 1, let's just do option 1 rather than thinking about all the others. So line 4, option 1, you have, right? So it goes to C major, then normally F7, sharp 5, sharp 11 there.
Right.
Okay. Actually, you know, that should be F7 sharp 11. Now I see it. So what should happen is you should go to the C, and normally in the arrangement it stays on the C for a measure and a half. So it'd be C2, 3, 4, C2, B flat. Okay? So what you could do is you could go C, G, C. So when you have that measure of C going on for, you know, a measure, rather than just staying on the C, if you want to add another chord, you could go to like a G7 and then go back to the C. Okay? You could also do something like this. Yeah, you could do this. So here I went C, B7, then B flat, and then do the, you know, hit the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So let me do that again for you. So it'd be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? So C, B7. You could also probably get away with this. Yeah, that would work as well. So C, you could probably do like an E7. It's a little intense, but then F minor, B flat. That way you could get 2 chords per measure.
Right.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work either. You can actually do this as well. The C to the B, then to the F minor, B flat. So I'll play those notes for you so you get those. C, B7, F minor, root 7, 3, 5, 7, 9. And then B flat 7. You do that. The 9th, natural 9. Okay. So I'm going to fix this in the music because, yeah, I'll put in the first ending, and then what I'll probably do is add in a. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to fix this. Say that again. Are you on Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Oh, I wonder if that's it. I wonder if your Wi-Fi today is just not as good as it normally is. But anyway, keep going. What did you say again?
When you how do you determine whether you're going to use major or minor? Are you using the key signature or just your ear?
I say it again. When I add, I heard that part. Go ahead. When I add chords.
Like going B flat, you know, you're saying you can go B flat. How do you determine what the chord is going to be major or minor or diminished? Do you use your E or key signature?
Well, key signature to a degree in that you need to know what key you're in. But let me explain those options to you that I just did. So, when I'm going from C, and I'm going to get down to the B flat, and I use the B7 chord, okay? The reason I made it a B7 is, remember, it's like that, that tritone substitution, okay? It's where B7 is really the same thing as an F7 chord, so I could have done that, right? So, B7, it's that half step above, it's resolving down, so I know it's going to be a dominant 7th chord because it is that tritone substitution. Because B7 is the same thing as F, which would be a dominant 7th. Okay? Why a dominant 7th? Because that's going to get more motion. It doesn't always have to be that. So this is where, you know, sometimes, yes, you do use your ear, but it is definitely theory-based. Could I use F major 7? Sure. You know? But you hear how it's not as strong of a motion? But let's say that I wanted to use, I'll do something different. So here I decided, okay, let me go up. I'll go diatonically. So it goes C major, then to D minor, then to E minor, and then I hit E7. Okay? So the first thing that I'm looking for is I always like to look for my bass motion. I like to find bass motion that's going to be interesting. Now what I don't like about this is I go C to D to E and I hit the E again. Right? I don't like changing the quality of the chord from a major to a minor or a minor to a major because you don't get enough bang for your buck there. Whereas that's better, even though I don't like the D minor. But anyway, that's better because you get some more motion, you get more bass motion. So this, the B7, I know it's going to be a dominant 7th chord because it is that tritone substitution. The B flat 7 is obviously going to be dominant because it's written as dominant. Now, what about if I went to F7? Love to find another. So there's always like interesting things that you can do. They might not fit though. This is kind of cool though. I like that. C major, A flat major, D flat major, then to the B flat 7. Now what is that from? That's from our natural minor scale. So we know that the 1 major, flat 6 major, flat 2 major. That is just a progression that you just get to know. It's like 2 plus 2 equals 4. You don't think about it anymore. So you know flat 6 major and flat 2 major and also flat 3 major are chords that you can bring into your reharmonization. So how I'm coming up with these is I'm thinking about like, what chord would work on that note? You know? So I have to think about that note. So that's why I like that F sharp 7 with the flat 9. Yeah, it's kind of a little tight. That would have been nice though, because I could have gone up a half step from the F, so I could get C. See that nice motion? I could get C to F sharp 7 or G flat to F, then to B flat. So I work backwards. I know I got to do B flat for. Okay, so I want to get B flat. I always think, okay, well, what about the tritone of B flat? Well, that's E. The problem is the E7 with a sharp 9 is pretty tense. Okay, so that's not really going to work. So I'm going to stay on B flat. So now I back up from B flat. Well, what can come before B flat? F minor to B flat works well, or F7 to B flat also works well. Okay, so now back up from F. What normally takes me to F? Well, C. But wait a second, I'm already on C. You know? Right. So now it's like I got beats 3 and 4 of the second measure covered. I got beats 1 and 2 covered with the F, but now I got a whole measure of C going on. So what do I do there? Well, that's where I can have. So here what I do is C, don't mind the 10th, right? Still a C chord. Then I could go to an E7, right? Or a C over E. Then my F minor, B flat 7. So what I did was I just did an alternate bass in the left hand. So that's C over E, F minor, B flat 7, then the E flat. Now, the alternate bass, meh, yeah, it's all right, but it doesn't really. The resolution sometimes sounds really good, sometimes it doesn't sound that great. In this particular instance, it's not that great. So you could try other things like. Don't like that either. That's kind of cool. So now what I did there is I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And this is C, G minor, C7, F minor, B flat 7. So now I have 3 chords in that first measure. Okay, so. Now, that gets pretty advanced and kind of complicated, and you got to be able to move to those chords fast in order to make them work. So what I would end up doing, anyways, see how something like that works as well? C to like a G7, you know? So it's the 1 to the 5, and then go to your 2, 5, go into the E flat. Right? Or we can go back to what we originally did. So we just go C, B, B flat. So now in the first measure we have the C to the B, so we have that covered. But in the second measure now we have B flat that we have to deal with for the entire measure.
Right.
So you see how it's, you know, it's one measure or the other. We might have a chord that we have to deal with for an entire measure.
Right.
Okay. But this is where like a lot of those options, what it allows you to do is. You know, put in some little fill there or whatnot. So,
Okay, so let me do it slower. So is it? So you see how I did the C, and then some little fill in here, so. Whatever I want. I can even take that same chord and just bring it up. So measure-wise, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that measure of C or B flat, you could fill it. Now there, best not to use that example that I just showed you, because I went G minor, G flat 7. I want to do that one, okay? I would stay with the C, but come up with some fill that you can use for the entire measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see I can. The main thing is that as long as you can get it flowing, it sounds nice, you know. So. If I go back to that C. So you see how I hit the chord, I put in some fill, then the 2-5 going to the E flat. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Challenging, of course, you know, but you see how I'm working backwards? Like that's where I want to go, and I constantly work backwards from that.
Right.
Okay? Questions?
That was it. That was my big question.
All right, does that help?
Oh, because I was on track, because I remembered you telling me, think of where you're going, and I'm like, okay, flat major 7, so I'm working backwards from there, you know, and I know the B flat, go to the F, and then I was like, well, that brings me back to C, so what do I do with that? So
right.
That's settled that for me.
Yep.
But I was glad I was figuring it out. I'm looking through your chapters, and I'm like, I don't think he's talking about this section here in any of this. So I was like, hey, I'm going to figure it out myself. I can do it myself. And I did. And I was happy.
Awesome. And you know, and that's a great thing. Isn't that a great feeling?
Yes.
You know, because then it's like, oh, now you start to realize that I am actually learning music, and I don't need to be told everything by Willie. You know, I can actually do this on my own. You know. And that lets you know that you're a good student and that you're learning the skills.
Yep.
You know, so so congratulations, kudos to you for that. You notice that 2 measures. I mean, we came up with, there's probably a dozen different options there. You know, a dozen different ways of interpreting that 2 measures. And that's the challenge, is that every measure, there's literally like a dozen different ways in which you could play it. That's cool, but it could be a little bit like, oh, what am I going to do? And then you come back to it the next time, you play something different. You come back to the next time, you play something different. What I've learned is that relax into that, okay? Like, it's okay that you play something different, because if you played it once one way, it's still in there. You know, it came from within you. So it might come out at another time, you know, but don't worry about it playing it exactly the same way every time. The big thing that you have to realize is that if you play with another musician, they might not play those chords.
Right.
You know?
So I was just playing last night organ trio. So I'm playing bass and organ with a drummer and a trumpet player, and I have free reign. I could do whatever I want harmonically, and they got to follow me. And they, they're playing, and they're busting my chops because it's like, I'm changing the chords. So, hey, that's what I'm allowed to do. I don't have to worry about the bass player. I am the bass player. So I play the bass, I can play the chords and whatnot. I can do whatever I want. Now, of course, to be a good team player with them, I'm not going to do stuff that's like crazy outside, because I want to make it so that if they're playing, more in the box, it's going to still work. All right?
Right.
So I'm not going to do something like. I'm not going to do something that's like crazy outside where you could kind of hear the melody, but it's really, angular and whatnot and very modern, because then they're going to be completely lost and they won't be able to follow you. So my point is that... What's that?
And then that sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so you're just going to understand that when you come up with these reharmonizations and arrangements, that when you're going to play with someone else, you might have to tone it down. You might have to go back to just shoop, what it says in the real book, in which case it might be. Oh, I just lost you. Can you still hear me? Yeah, this bad boy just dropped. All right, well anyway, I lost you, Don. I'm going to finish up with the video. So basically, you might just have to play exactly what's in the real book, right? So, and you'll work that out when you're, when you're playing with live musicians and, you're going to do a gig or whatnot with live musicians. But I definitely think that you're not too far off from being able to do some gigs. And I would suggest that you do that, because that's really going to ramp up your playing as well. All right, so anyway, great lesson. Thank you very much. I'll send this to you. I'm going to send you an email as well so that you have, just in case we're not able to connect, because I'm not sure if it was, well, I don't know what it was. All right, anyway, so great lesson. I'll talk to you soon.